Hello, can I help you with anything?
Yes, I've decided on this rifle here, but I'd also like to take a look at some handguns. How about those two in that case?
I've been reading about this line of handguns. They're supposed to be excellent for target shooting.
Great. I've shot skeet for several years now, but I'd like to get into target shooting with handguns. Yes, these are exactly what I want. They both feel very well balanced in my hand. I'll take the pair.
Great. I just need to see some identification and have you fill out ATF Form 4473. Then I'll run the NICS check. Mr. Lucas, I'm helping someone with a multiple firearms purchase. Do I treat it the same as a single firearm purchase, or do I need to do something special?
Actually, Carla, I'm glad you asked. For multiple sales that include just one handgun and any number of long guns, simply fill out Form 4473 as usual and include the information for each item in Section D. However, in order to transfer more than one handgun to a customer, you must prepare a multiple handgun sales report using ATF Form 3310.4 in addition to completing Form 4473.
So in this case, I need to list all three on Form 4473, but only the two handguns on Form 3310.4.
You've got it. Form 3310.4 requires 3 copies, one for the ATF National Tracing Center, one for the state or local police, and one for our records. Additionally, the first 2 copies need to be faxed or sent no later than by close of business on the day that the sale or distribution occurs following the transaction. Other than that, the same rules apply for multiple firearm sales as for single firearm sales.
I see. One more thing. Do I have to run the NICS check for each firearm?
As long as all the firearms are transferred as part of one transaction, you only have to run the NICS check once. When you finish filling out the paperwork and running the NICS check, we'll go over how to correctly record all the necessary information in our transaction log.
Mr. Lucas, I completed everything with the customer, checked all the forms, and received the NICS verification. Now I'm ready to enter the information into the inventory records.
First things first. Even though this information is tied to our inventory, it's actually a federal requirement that we keep these records. Officially, it's known as a firearms acquisition and disposition record, or a record of receipt and disposition. In many dealerships, it's called the bound book, because that's how they keep their receipts and records, in a big bound book. We received permission from ATF to transfer our records to a computer not too long ago, because it's more accurate, saves us time looking up transactions, and ties directly into our inventory records. That makes our job a whole lot easier.
So exactly what goes into the records of receipt and disposition?
Well, just as the name suggests, it's a permanent record that every dealer keeps that shows the receipt and disposition of every firearm that comes into or leaves our store. Every firearm that leaves the store will already have a corresponding record in here from when it came in and was inventoried. As for what goes into the record for each transaction, you'll notice that the first few items reflect Section D of Form 4473. The manufacturer and or importer, the model, serial number, type, and caliber or gauge of the firearm being transferred. We store the exact same bound book information in the computer because it makes finding the right record to edit a snap. We just enter the serial number and the inventory details appear on screen. The second part of the record is receipt information for the firearm, including the date it was received and from whom we received it. This is usually a manufacturer or distributor, in which case we record either their name and address or their license number. If we receive the firearm from a non-licensee, we record their name and address. The third and last part of the record is the disposition section, which we are required to fill out any time a firearm from our inventory leaves the store. It includes the date of the transaction and the name and address of the recipient. Additionally, we record the address or license number if the recipient is licensed. If they are not licensed, we are required to include a transaction serial number, which we also fill out on the corresponding Form 4473 for this transaction.
Since all that information is already in here, is it necessary to duplicate it on Form 4473?
Oh yes, federal law requires it. Moreover, it helps us to double-check what items we are transferring and to whom we are transferring them. It's important to make sure we do this for every firearm that goes through our store. The law requires us to record any receipt within 1 business day and any disposition within 7. However, like most stores, we record all the information at the time of the transaction to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks. Also, we are required by law to keep our records in good shape and ready for inspection.
Wow, that's a lot of information to track.
I know it sounds intimidating, but it gets easier the more times you do it. Just keep in mind that the purpose of all the record keeping is to make sure it's legal for us to transfer the item to the customer, and for law enforcement to trace the weapon if it is used in a crime. Think of it this way. We're simply accurately filling out and filing forms required by a government agency.
Thanks for your patience, Miss Jackson. Now that I've learned exactly how to record this transaction, we can wrap up your purchase.
That'd be great. You've done a super job. And I've learned something new, too.
Remember that for multiple transfers that include just one handgun and any number of long guns, simply fill out Form 4473 as usual and include the information for each item in Section D. However, in order to transfer more than one handgun to a customer, you must prepare a multiple handgun sales report using ATF Form 3310.4 in addition to completing Form 4473.